New York, July 24. Oliver Perez. Photo by Jim McIsaac, Getty Images. The New York Mets have had some bad seasons. The 1962 squad still has the most losses in a single season. However, those dreadful years aren't always the worst. Sometimes, it's the ones that slip away which can grind at fans most. Recently, it's the collapses of 2007 and 2008 that still eat away at many of us. A retrospective of 2007-08 Shea Stadium set to a cloudy backdrop and extreme tension as Mets fans dreamt of a postseason berth, righting the wrongs of the season prior and extending the life of Shea Stadium. It was not only the last regular season game at the Mets' only true home, up until that point, but it was another chance to win a playoff spot. At 89-72, the Mets and the Brewers were fighting to land in the NL wildcard position. The Mets were playing the same Marlins team that eliminated them on the last day of the season prior, and the Brewers were up against the Cubs. Thus tensions were high and in some ways detracted from the sentimentality of the day. A tight game early on was broken up by the Marlins coming to a 2-0 lead in the start of the sixth. In response, Carlos Beltran lifted a home run to even the score at 2-2 in the bottom of that inning. However, the Mets never could gain that lead again as back-to-back solo blasts by Wes Helms and Don Uggla sealed the Mets' fate. The solemn feeling triggered at the final out was quite surreal. An overwhelming sense of melancholy inundated every fan, at the ballpark and at home. Their team was eliminated twice on the last day of the season for 2 consecutive years, by the same opponent. This, coupled with the fact that the only building any of them has called home was now being eradicated. These 2 years of despair followed a great and exciting run to the fringes of the 2006 World Series. A Yadier Molina home run and a called strike 3 to Carlos Beltran ruined any aspirations in that season. The following day, after that playoff defeat, New York City was a grim portrait. Only a few signs providing the Mets with support were still lingering in the windows of Manhattan buildings. In truth, Mets fans' vibrant hopes were smashed by the sudden drop in Wainwright's curveball. The last view Mets fans had of their beloved Shea Stadium was the exit of 2 legends, Mike Piazza and Tom Seaver. They bid farewell and exited center field. A farewell to the 2008 season, that championship window, and Shea Stadium. Page 2 NEW York, May 16. A fan of the New York Mets talks on his phone during a rain delay before the game against the Chicago Cubs on May 16, 2007 at Shea Stadium in the Flushing neighborhood of the Queens borough of New York City. Photo by Jim McIsaac, Getty Images. The 2007 collapse was truly stunning in terms of the sheer rapidity of the Mets' plummet and the Phillies' rise. To close out that season, the Mets were 5-12 and the Phillies were 13-4. All in all, they had significantly poor output from their pitching, which severely struggled in September. Throughout the entirety of the year, the Mets had potent output from their offense. However, in their biggest time of need they struggled for timely hitting. John Main's fantastic performance to blank the Marlins gave the Mets hope in the second-to-last day of their season. More from Rising Apple. Main tossed 7 2/3 truly brilliant innings including only 1 hit surrendered and 14 strikeouts. The Mets scored 13 runs and allowed 0 on that day. However, in the end, a deafening blow of the Marlins scoring 7 runs off of the diminished Tom Glavine ended the Mets' season for good. The team was on thin ice proceeding forward, as they followed up an air trip to the World Series and a torrid first half of 2007 with an utter embarrassment of a collapse. Therefore, when Willie Randolph was let go in mid-2008, not many were surprised. Although, the Mets found a way to throw people off with the odd timing. Acquiring Johan Santana was a massive upgrade, but the looming issue that season was severe lack of depth and production in the bullpen. Once again they blew a 3.5-game lead in the division and missed out on an opportunity of the wild card on the last day. This is memorable for the bitter results and more so for the sequel to the memorable season of 2006. It serves as a reminder of just how quickly success can slip away and how it should be savored. The new front office approach, helmed by Brodie Van Wagenen, cannot yield better results. 2015 will turn into the next 2006 and prolong the fans' yearning for a championship. Next, the future implications. Page 3 NEW York, NY, September 30. New York Mets COO Jeff Wilpon speaks to the media prior to a game against the Miami Marlins at Citi Field on September 30, 2018 in the Flushing neighborhood of the Queens borough of New York City. Photo by Adam Hunger, Getty Images. The reason these seasons stand out as being vital is that those ball clubs decidedly lack depth. In 2008, the beleaguered bullpen fizzled away with a lack of depth causing severe overuse. This overuse led to diminished results from the only reliable options they had. A lack of rotational depth in 2007 was another issue that was ultimately fatal. The 2019 Mets, thanks to Brodie Van Wagenen, are much more equipped to start their season, more suitable for all the impediments along the way. A bullpen stacked with 5 legitimately reliable arms and an infield with 3 potential starting second basemen, a solid third baseman, a rising talent at shortstop and a few options at first base. Of this class, Jed Lowry and Robinson Cano stand out as the talents that can produce the most with their bats. The previously mentioned bullpen pitchers are Seth Lugo, Robert Gesellman, Juris Familia, Justin Wilson, and Edwin Diaz. Some depth additions like for Luis Avilan will also prove to be wise additions as the season wears on. The areas that are slightly shallow are the outfield and the starting rotation. The starting 5 are excellent and are shaping up to be quite a nice rotation, however adding someone who can provide valuable would be smart. Injuries befall players, especially Mets players, therefore some form of depth should be acquired. It should be noted that Hector Santiago is signed to a minor league deal and could provide some of this depth. Depth was something that was never available in 2007 and 2008. Neither was it available in 2017 and 2018. The sheer number of injuries in 2015 and 2016 and the success they found is a testament to that depth. The Mets added depth during those 2 off-seasons and at those 2 trade deadlines, just as they have this most recent off-season. In sport of adapt or die, the Mets are taking an unconventional route. Hamstrung by a massive Yoenis Cespedes contract that is not coming close to paying off, the Mets were prevented from adding the impactful bat of Bryce Harper. They adapted to their situation and bettered themselves. Next, 10 Mets players the fans will always love. Want your voice heard? Join the Rising Apple team. Write for us. It is very unclear as to whether the club will make the playoffs or if the transactions will come to fruition, but they cannot know if they do not first try. The comparison of 2007 and 2008 to 2017 and 2018 is real, however, it gives rise to a question: can the Mets learn from their past or are they doomed to repeat it? Only the future can tell.